So, welcome back after the network interruption that we had. Apologies for that. So, this time around, we are taking the introduction to the recruitment training, and I will start all over again. I'll start all over afresh, as though we never did in the class. So, for those who are just joining, and for those who had issues with the connection, at least okay, we'll just use this to refresh our mind. But I'm going to be very, very fast with regards to it because we've already spent all the time that's allotted for this particular training for today. So, introduction to the recruitment training, the learning outlines to discuss on the fundamentals of recruitment, then go on to talk about job analysis, the purpose of the recruitment itself, and job analysis itself, the purpose, the uses, and the sources of job analysis. Then, finally, we'll be concluding with job description and specification, how to develop a job description, and as well as how to come up with a job specification. Okay, so now moving on with that, you should attend, of course, everyone you intend to pursue a career in human resource management, or for everyone who is successful with this, we definitely will be going on to the recruiter role. Then, the learning outcome here, we expect that at the end of the day, you should understand the essence of recruitment. Then you should be able to undertake job analysis properly, very well and effectively, then as well as create the job specification and description. Please, if you do not have the learning material, just look below the description of this training in on your screen. If you look below it, you will see a link you can download. But if you're coming from the platform, you definitely must have the material shared with you on the platform already. All right. Okay. That said, let's go on to talk about recruitment. One. Now, what exactly is recruitment? Like I said earlier, that recruitment is just the process of identifying the right candidates for a particular role, interviewing them, and as well as hiring them. Take, for example, if we are to fill for the role of the customer service executive. So now, the question is, what kind of uh, what kind of uh, what kind of business does our organization run, and what kind of customers, also kind of customers do we have, do we attend to? So if we have the kind of business that we do, that's the product, the service that we provide to the public, then we understand our market, that's the customers that we serve. This will help us understand the kind of person that we want to serve our customers. Take for instance, if we offer an elitist service or product, so it means the kind of people that we are going to be serving are high end or elite members of the society. It means the kind of person that we would want to serve them would have a certain presentation, will have certain qualities, not just anyone. Well, not just anyone can fit into that role, even though all may have customer service experience, but we want certain people who have previous experiences dealing with elites, of course, because they have a unique way of behavior and also a unique relationship with this category of people. So it means if we're going to be hiring a customer service person who is going to be serving this elites, is going to be serving this elite category. It means we want someone who have prior experience in that, right? That said, so we'll understand this kind of person. This is the process of identifying. That process of identifying, so we know the kind of person that we want, and when we go into the pool to find out the right person for the role, we know exactly what we're looking for. So when we find it, we'll know that we have found it. But when we don't know what exactly we're looking for, we'll continue looking. Even when we meet it, we'll just pass the right candidate. Then we'll go ahead to interview and hire that particular candidate for the role of customer service executive. Now, take for instance that we want to hire for the role of a mechatronics engineer. We want to understand what kind of mechatronics are we dealing with. Let's take for instance under the manufacturing, the mechatronics equipment used by the manufacturing company. So we know exactly okay that we want someone who did electrical electronics engineering who also have a background in mechatronics equipment management. So this helps us to understand, okay, what kind of mechatronics are we looking at? Manufacturing equipment. Of course, we know that there are other forms of mechatronics. So, but this time around, we want to focus on the ones the ones who have experience with manufacturing. So, with that, it is very, very imperative that we know the kind of person. So, you see, that's what I was talking about. That the recruitment process is just about identifying the kind of person that we want, interviewing them, and hiring them. The process of identifying the kind of person that we want here, we're going to talk about it subsequently, so I don't preempt them. So, in a nutshell, you're to understand what a recruit, okay, now I take another example. Let's say still buttressing on recruitment, teaching. I'm going to use teaching for example. We want a physics teacher. Remember, because or we want a music teacher. If we want a music teacher, someone who is going to teach music for us. So it's not just about teaching music. Remember that this time around, how we're going to be hiring for, let's say, an admin personnel or even an admin personnel is not the same way as we're going to the kind of process of hiring for it is. Of course, we're going to try them. How do we test their skills? How do we ensure that this particular person that we're hiring fits into the teaching role and can communicate effectively well with the children? Remember, these people are communicating with let's say people below the adult age, then there are a lot of things that we want to also look out for to be certain that this is the right candidate for the job role. We don't just want to hire and hire wrong. We want to hire and get it right the first time that we do. That's that. So that's what recruitment is all about. It's the process of identifying the right person for the role, interviewing them, and bringing them on board the team. Then recruitment. What exactly is the importance and the purpose? One is that it helps to determine. I'm going to be very fast. Please, in case you if you have any questions while I'm taking this class, just hold that on. At the tail end of the class, we'll take that. We'll just we'll open the session for that, and we'll begin to take the questions and and do justice to each of them. Now, the importance of recruitment, it says that it helps to determine the present and the future of manpower. In recruitment or in HR, practically in human resource management, it is imperative that the department understands how to focus effectively well its human resource needs. So if we're going to be needing, take for instance, like I said in the previous session, that we for instance, in a manufacturing company, there are surges. We just exited the festive season, which is the ember period that we just entered the new year. So during that festive season, we had a surge, and that surge required that there's a surge in demand, and that surge in demand requires that manufacturing company or producers or service providers will definitely increase their capacity to meet the demand of the customers or the consumers. So, in what does that practically mean? It means that the HR department or the organization is going to increase its workforce. In doing that, that means the HR department is going to it has to be a step ahead to ensure that they provide that manpower when the organization needs it to service the consumers or service the customers of that particular organization. That's exactly what we're talking about. So, with recruitment or in HR, it is imperative that the department learns or understands how to focus and prepare for manpower before it is even needed. Then, two is that it prevents disruption in business activities. In an instance where the organization is unable to forecast excellently, well, take for instance that there is an increase, the action requires an increase in manpower towards that ember period, and the focus was not properly done, and the manpower was not brought in on time. It means that the current workforce are going to be stretched, they are going to be overworked, and the cases of people falling ill and visiting the hospital or becoming absent from work is definitely going to play out. So at that time, we find out that there's not much that the people can do. The auction will definitely have to speed up to get workforce. So possibly it will be on a short time basis, it could be on a short time, it could be on a contract basis, but it all depends on it all ensures that the business is not disrupted, business of the organization is not disrupted. There is no downtime in the manpower required by the organization. Then, thirdly, it improves the credibility of the organization. So now, the credibility or the art view of the organization from the public to the organization will be sound. The relationship or the relationship between the people, that's the staffs and the organization, will be great as well because they are not being overworked, and people as well outside the CEO that the staffs are properly taken care of. So that is that. Then we'll go on to talk about the process of recruitment. Okay, so now in the process of recruitment, definitely and the methods, we're going to talk detailedly about it, but just want to give a run, an overview of what it looks like. Of course, we're going to be advertising on career sites, job boards, social media, and the industry publication boards. It does in this current age. This is not the time where we have the most popular one that was in the past, where you have newspaper magazines and the rest of that. Now people have gone online and the rest of that. So there are online job boards, online career sites, social media industry. So these are the places where people can engage more often. So in order to get their attention and get applications, these platforms are used. That does not particularly mean that advertisements are no longer done on newspapers and magazines or on print anymore. Definitely, advertisements still go on prints. Then I'm going to talk about the next one: accessing the optional talent pool or the database. Now, if there's a need to fill, there's a need for manpower. Another option where to look out for is the previous database. People who just randomly come into the auction to drop their CV or to visit their website and submit CVs. These are first a point of contact where people, for instance, in Trenchtown, when we have openings like this, we want to go back, remind people who have profiles with us, find out if they are still available for that openings, reach out to them via email, and if they are still open to that particular position, we'll go ahead and forward their profiles to the employing organizations. It does happen. So oftentimes it's important for that's why we encourage candidates to drop their database, drop their information in the organization, and at the end of the day, when their information, when their openings opportunities, they are contacted. Then that's that to go on to talk about the next one. It says considering employee referral. Of course, in an instance where we could also use, there's an instance of lead number, we could also ask our employees, do you know someone who can fill this role? So these are employee referrals. They refer people, of course. So colleagues can can refer people for the role, so they get interviewed, and if they qualify, they get employed. Then we'll talk about rehiring ex-employees. Of course, this is on the extreme. Ex-employees or employees who have been the organization can be reconsidered or rehired again. Take, for instance, an employee can resign from a particular role, but because they are very good and the organization has not found a fit or a perfect replacement for them, they can be rehired again. They can be reconsidered and brought back into the organization if the organization deems it fit. Okay, then we'll go ahead to talk about the next one. Still on that, on process and methods, we'll talk about promoting and promoting and transferring existing employees. Of course, we could choose to promote an exist. For instance, if we are hiring for a supervisory role, let's take for instance, we have a team of customer service, but we want a customer service supervisor. So instead of hiring extra, then just say it's easier for us to just pick someone from within them who is doing excellently well or who fits into that particular role. We pick from that person and promote the person becomes the customer service supervisor. Then there are instances where the organization can say, no, we do not want rivalry, we do not want bad blood among the team members. Let's go out elsewhere. I hire someone to come and become the team supervisors. It can be done. It all depends on what the organization wants to do. Then next on the list is collaborating with employment exchange. Of course, these are platforms that can be used and to hire new employees. Then finally is recruitment organization and professional organizations as well. Recruitment agencies and professional organizations. So we can choose to contact a recruitment agency to help us with the recruitment process to fill that role. Okay, then moving on to the next one, we talked about the skills that are required. So function effectively well on this role as a recruiter. If you're going to be successful on this role, one is that you have to have efficient communication and reporting skills. Be very good with communication, very efficient with it. Now, when we talk about being efficient and with communication, it means that in the role of communication, for you to even say that your communication was effective, it means that the message the message that is being communicated or the message you wish to communicate was understood by the parties who are involved or concerned in that communication process. So if you intend to tell me something, your the purpose for which you were saying it, I may hear it, I may read about it. Do I understand it? And do I also understand the message that is being conveyed, the ideas, whatever it is that is being conveyed, the reason for that communication? If it's properly understood and implemented, then we can say that communication is effective. It's ineffective if there's a breach in any of this, such that I may receive the message, it might be incomplete. I may receive the message, I do not understand it. I may receive it, it might be so bogus and I cannot. So it means that as a recruiter, you must be very, very, your communication must be efficient. It must be clear. Your medium of communication must definitely also be great. Then reporting skills. When you for instance, if you're handling a particular role, it means that for every progress that is made, for every issue encountered, every detail needs to be stated there in your reporting scan. Then, secondly, talk about confidence and curiosity. Yes, if you are confident about a particular profile or candidate that this particular profile is great, that we can hire them, they can fit in for this role effectively well. That is awesome. Yes, they can fit in for that role also, but you also need to be curious to probe the details, the information you have about that particular candidate, and ensure that they are authentic. That is very much important. Then we'll go ahead to talk about effective listening skill. As a recruiter, you should be able to pay attention to details, put one and one together, understand and know when the information that is being conveyed across is untrue. This is very much important because you should be able to vet all the information that you have, pay attention to details, see where information the details you have, maybe oral and verbal and non-verbal are not accurate. Yeah, this is where your effective listening skill comes into play. Then, still on that, the skills that you need, your ability to develop, identify, and display positive language. Yes, as a recruiter or as the HR personnel and the recruitment, you should be able to display positive body language and as well as identify the same from the people you interact with. Of course, when you started with the responsibility of bringing people into the organization, you definitely will definitely want you to bring on people who know what they are doing. Then talk about patience and ability to anticipate the future. Yes, it is imperative to as a HR person to understand how to anticipate the demands, uh, the future, the demands where there could be possible surge or demand for manpower. Then we'll go ahead to talk about strong networking skills and relationship building, networking and relationship building skills. Now, we'll talk about, I'll take that separately. Networking means, at least in the HR, if you get into the HR department, we expect you to be someone who understands networking, connect with other HR within and also outside of the organization. Now, why is this important? Sometimes you're giving deadlines. Ah, XYZ can be told, Alex, we want you to fill this position in 3 working days. Now, 3 working days might sound undoable. But by the time you check your network, you find out that it's very easy to do. Sometimes you're given 24 hours to get certain things done, and it's unimaginable. You say, "Oh, how do I even begin?" So this is where your network comes in, and boom, you spread it in your network, and they help you forward your profiles, and immediately the positions are filled. That's where network comes in. Strong network. We're talking about network here. We're talking about people who have capacity. Like you've tested them up. Do you have profiles that fit this? You just send them the job description and boom, they come for you the profiles. These are friends actually who can help you when the need arises with regards to urgency and deadlines. Then we'll talk about relationship building. Now, as a HR person, you definitely need to be a very good relationship person, a very good person with relationship, a good relationship manager as well, so that when employees and versus employee squabble comes up, you're able to resolve that. Then, if you don't have good relationship, or if you don't know how to keep good relationship, then how do you even sort out relationship issues among the employees? Okay, so this is very much important. We're talking about relationship building. Understand how to build relationship between employees and as well as employee to organization based and as well, and vice versa. Okay, I think that's that. So now, moving on. I think I'm very very I'm already very fast, but this is exactly how we want it to go. We already spent all the time for this training already. So now let's move on to the number two. So on the slide, we have job analysis. Please, you can always see the link to download the slide on in the description. If you're coming from the platform, you already have it shared with you within the group. Just scroll and you find the material, open it, and you can join us for in this section two. Now, job analysis. What exactly is job analysis? When we begin to talk about job analysis, now I will say, for instance, what's job analysis? What job analysis does is now if I'm told as a HR person there's this particular department, this department, what exactly are they doing? As a HR person, you should be able to have even if it is a little understanding of what each department does. It is very critical that I know what each department does. Now, in job analysis, we're going to be discussing that in detail, but I just want to lay the groundwork here. What the job analysis entails is that if you're asked to hire for XYZ role, and let's take for instance is a, an engineering role or like I said, a mechatronics engineer role earlier. So now we use that as an example. What job analysis does is that job analysis takes a proper and overview an overview of what that the the job that the electronics engineer that was going to be hired, what the person is going to be doing. That is what job analysis does. So because by the time we do all this analysis, that is when we come up with the details and say, this is what the XYZ mechatronics engineer is going to be doing for us when they come in. That is what job analysis does. So in job analysis, you'll be able to come up with the details of that job. You understand the job description, the responsibility, the specification, that's requirement, that will be that will help whoever it is on that role to succeed. That is what job analysis does. Okay, I think that's done. Let's go ahead to talk more on that. Says job analysis means collecting all information about a specific job role, collecting all the information that is required. Now, what exactly is the purpose? Why do we need job analysis? Remember, I said that yes, you might be a HR person. Let's say you studied human resource management, but it will not stop you from knowing what is going on in the engineering department, from knowing what's going on in the accounting department, and the rest also is very clear because as a HR person, you're more like a gatekeeper. Whoever is coming in, you know, okay, this person is coming in, but you know what they are coming in to do for the organization. You might not know all that in details because you have a head of department there. Of course, there are some times where the job is easier for you, where the head of department already have the job description or already have the job details, that's the details about that particular job they want you to hire. So the job is much more easier. There are certain times where it is even mandatory that you visit such department and observe what is being done so that you can create the job description by yourself. So in that instance, you are creating it by yourself. Now, you're not being assisted by the head of department or by whoever it is or your supervisor there. So you do it by yourself. And so, of course, definitely that's your job function. So if it is being done by the head of department, it just being a favor is being done to you. So then let's go ahead and and discuss more. So this says the purpose of it is practically to enable the organization fully understand the nature of the job. So if we are looking to hire for a particular role or want somebody that's going to be doing XYZ role for the organization or that mechatronics. So want to know what exactly is this person going to be doing for us? What machine are they coming to operate? What kind of person do we want to operate this machine and the rest of that? What experience do we want them to have? What requirements? What knowledge requirements? What skills do we want them to have? All these things. This is where it comes into job analysis. So after we're done with job analysis, we are able to describe the job detailedly such that in it we know, okay, this is the kind of person that we want and the kind of person that can succeed on the role. Okay, what are the uses of job analysis? Job analysis helps us to understand the training and development requirements for that particular role. For instance, if we're going to be hiring for that mechatronics engineer, the kind of machine that we have, let's say it's even a 2024 machine, and whoever we're bringing in, the latest, where they are coming from, the machine that they've been working is a 2014 machine. So, and that means there's a 10 years ahead, 10 years advancement in technology that this person is not able to meet up with. Of course, technology improves every day. So it means, so by understanding from our job analysis, we understand that this person that we are bringing in should have at least, because with the machine we have is a 2024 model. So it means whoever we are bringing in should have a minimum of even 2023. So in the instance where they don't even have that 2024 knowledge, it means that there is a training and skill development need for us to do on whoever it is that we're bringing in. And so good if we have somebody who already have that 2024, then that is awesome. Then we'll go ahead to talk about the next one. This is the business performance management. With job analysis, we can be able to effectively manage the business of the organization. Remember, as a human resource person, that's where you are coming in. If you go for the full HR, that's for the full that's HRM, human resource management course, you understand that you understand where how human resource management amounts to the success of an organization because the people of an organization practically determines the success of the organization. You hire the wrong people, the organization definitely suffers for it. Of course, that's that. Then we'll go ahead to talk about the next one that job analysis helps us to understand occupational health and safety. So in that instance now, if you understand the what this person is coming to do, they will understand, okay, what kind of environment do we create? Okay, this machine functions in this way. What hazards does it pose to whoever it is that is or to the operator? What hazard does it pose to the environment? What's hazard? So we understand this through job analysis. So in that, it helps us to be prepared so we can create the right condition for the machine and for the environment, for the work area, and as well as for the operator and other occupants of the work area. So I think that is very, very much broad. Then that's we go on to talk about the other one, says human resource planning, which is the fourth one. So job analysis helps us to understand human resource planning. Now, remember I've already said something about that earlier. So um, in this, in human resource planning, it helps us to understand when we need someone and when we don't need someone for the organization, and how many people do we need. So, take for instance, we have this machine, and prior to this time, the organization does not. The organization has been running on. Let's say the organization has been running on. Is not mechanized. What the operations is not mechanized. So we're bringing in technology now, and this technology that we're bringing in definitely means that the manpower that are currently in the auction is going to be redundant. So it will help us to plan effectively well. These people that are there, the auction is not for that Christmas. How do we ensure that they are productive and not just productive but optimally productive? So it means we're going to be saying, okay, where do we move these people? Because these people are currently doing this XYZ role that the machine that is being imported or that has been bought by the organization is going to be executing now. So since their role is now being executed by a machine, and we just require a few of them. Let's take for instance, we have 50 people who are actually doing who were previously working on that role, and this time around we just only need, let's say, um, marks, operators, and supervisors, and the rest of that. We just need only 15 out of the 50, or we just need only 15 out of the. That means 35 is going to be redundant. What do we do with the 35? So that's exactly where human resource planning comes in. Okay, so where do we move them? Where do we have deficiencies? Where do we need people extra? So we find out which of them are suitable for those roles. If they're not suitable, can they be trained and pushed to those departments? That is where human resource planning comes in. This is all the things that you're going to do. Of course, this might not be within your purview as a recruiter, but I just want to emphasize on that. That's under the purview of the HR department in entirety. Now, let's go on to talk about employee compensation. Now, employee compensation is one of the things that job analysis does. So, if we know the extent of work, the extent of risk, the extent of exposure, the extent of things that these people who are operating this machine or these people who are working in this department are going to be doing, it helps us to understand how do we compensate them adequately. What kind of measures do we put in place, or do we put in place already should certain things happen within the workplace? There are people who, apart from the labor law, we should not be driven by the labor law. Of course, there are places where there are some organizations you may have idea where you work, you retire, and at the end of the day, you have the compensations are very great, and for others, it's not the same. It all depends on the capabilities of the organization. I think that's that. So, but what job analysis does is that it helps to understand, or it helps to properly plan the employee compensation rightly in such a way that, of course, you don't expect the compensation of people who visit. Let's take for instance, these people are going offshore. They have to deal with the waves of the sea and the rest of that, the turbulence of water, turbulence of the wind. You have to deal with them, and you can compare them people who are working on site or onshore. So the risk that they take are completely different. Let's say you have people who go down the water, subsea operators. So these people who go under the water to handle their own operations. So you see, their risk levels are different. That's what job analysis does. It helps us to understand the risk that is involved in what these people are doing, and how do we adequately, or how does the option adequately compensate them for the job that they do. Okay, I think that is that. We want to talk about the next one, talent selection. So in job analysis, it helps us to understand how do we come about the right person for this role. So we don't just say, I will just hire. No, we don't want to hire and hire wrongly. We want to hire right the first time that we do. So now, job analysis helps for talent selection. I've already portrayed so much on that, because by the time we know the kind of job that we have, that the kind of manpower that we need, it helps us to understand the kind of person that is required to fit into this role effectively well. I just stopped. I think in the previous one, I was making emphasis on just personal assistant. I may need a personal assistant, another person may need a personal assistant, but there's a reason why it is called personal assistant. Because why? I want the person to be able to help me in the places where the shoe pinches me the most. The same thing it is for another person. They want a personal assistant, someone who can help them personally in the places where they should pinches them, not just in the general place, of course, where you schedule for meetings, you do this, you do that. For instance, let's take for instance that let's say I have some certain kind of job functions that I need help on that is away from what that's the conventional job function of the what we know about the personal assistant job. You see that kind of person may not fit in for me if they cannot do some of the things I want them to do. Like maybe I want someone who can deputize for me in certain meetings and the rest of that. But maybe it might be below away from their own job function. So, but I want someone who can be able to represent me. Let's say I have multiple meetings in a day that I can't be able to meet up with. Yes, that's where I need a personal assistant. But another person, I just not need someone in that capacity. So if I'm going to be hiring for a personal assistant for me, I need someone who can represent me, like a photocopy of me, who can be able to effectively deliver or represent me in meetings such that I will not be missed even at all. That's the kind of person I will be needing if I will need a personal assistant. But for another person, they might just need someone who will just run errands and the rest of that, help them carry bags and the rest. So it all depends on what kind of the where it if where how the individual fits in exactly into the role effectively well. I think that is that. Then let's go on to talk about the next one, job evaluation. Now, this job analysis helps you to evaluate the job. Now, when this person has now finally taken on the job role, of course, you definitely will not remain on the recruiter role forever. You will go to progress into other HR functions. So now you're going to be evaluating this particular person that we have hired. In fact, are they actually meeting the demands for which they were hired? Are they effectively working on their role? Are they performing maximally? That's where job evaluation comes in. Now that we have hired this person, are they functioning excellently well? On the of that are they meeting or the purpose, the need for which they were hired? That's where job evaluation comes. So, but can we do a job evaluation when we don't even know the kind of job that they are doing in the first instance? Of course, we don't. So we need to understand the job function that we want them to do, and when we're going to be evaluating them, we're going to be evaluating them as against because that's how we set the key performance indicators. So we're going to be evaluating their performance as against the job function or the details of the analysis of the job that we have created for them in the first instance. I think that is very clear. Then let's go ahead and talk about the next one. It says job specification. So job analysis helps us to understand the specifics that we need for that job role. What kind of person do we want? I just made reference to take for instance, I'm going to be needing a personal assistant, the kind of person I want, the specifics. Now, I want someone who is presentable, someone who can represent me excellently well, someone who understands the dynamics of business, of course. Let's take for instance, if I need someone who can do some certain level of presentation, high level presentations. Can this person do it? Do they have experience in it before? Of course, I'm going to test the person, do a presentation. Once I have a personal assistant, when all you can do is just book my flight tickets and the rest of that, and just schedule and take minutes. I cannot say you're assisting. I can do that for myself. Of course, we have technologies today, but there are other things that here, of course, I will need you to relieve me perfectly well. But for one other person, they may not just need that. So their own specification will be different. My own specification will be someone who is attention, who can pay attention to details, someone who can meet tight deadlines, such that a demand comes up, we need to set up a meeting, we need to set up a meeting with XYZ organization, we need to go and do this, we need to go and do that, we need to go and present the HR department in XYZ. So if we get this done, so in doing this, and I have just less than 3 hours to prepare a presentation, and boom, you can excellently come up with a presentation in 3 hours. You have solved the problem. So why won't you fit in excellently well? So that's my own specification, right? So a job analysis helps to create that is in under the job analysis comes the specification. So it will understand the specific of this role, the kind of person that we want for this role, the kind of person that will succeed on this role. Remember, some might be a customer service officer, but they are not succeeding on the role because they do not have. Let's take, for instance, a customer service person who has just been serving the general public. You just bring the person to come and serve in an elitist space. Now, the other person that have no prior experience with dealing with elites. So you find out that there are certain levels of courage that the person might be failing on. There's a certain level of relationship or managing relationships that person will fail. So at the end of the day, they fail woefully and they're not doing excellently well. Clients are complaining, or the customers are complaining. So Yes, but they've been doing a customer service, but they have experience in customer service, right? So is it just about resolving issues? No, there are certain um, in this particular area. Of course, customer service now here is relationship based, definitely. So you see, the approach is different, even though they are all customer service, right? So these are the kind of things, of the specifics. But the customer service the person may have done might not just be focused on relationship management. It might just be a general relationship with the brand, the customers to the brand, but not just the employee to the clients or the employee to the customer this time around. So it all depends on what the organization wants, where they have worked before. Now, but this organization wants these things, so the specifics will be different. So in the job analysis, we come to understand the specifics that we need for that person to succeed on the role. So if this XYZ, let's say Alex or Cynthia, has this specific requirement, it means they will definitely succeed on the role. Perfect. Okay, so that is that. They'll talk about process re-engineering. If we understand job analysis excellently well, we can re-engineer the process. We can re-engineer the processes around that particular job function. Take for instance, remember I made mention of working manually, and now want to integrate technology into that particular thing that we were doing earlier. With understanding that job role will help us automate it. If we do not understand the job role, we cannot automate the process of that particular job. We cannot re-engineer it. We cannot improve it. We cannot, because we don't even know what we are dealing with in the first instance. So that's why when certain changes are being made, the concerned people in the department, the HR department, have to be there, observe that particular job function, see people execute them, then of course prepare a report on how the processes can be re-engineered. Okay, of course that's going to be alongside with the heads of those departments that is involved. Okay, let's go ahead to talk about job analysis, sources. How can we analyze job functions? Where can we get information about the job? Remember, we said, what is job analysis? Job analysis is about gathering information about a particular job. Now, so where do we get this information that we're looking for? What sources do we look at for to extract information about a particular job function? So now one of them is what training. So while training, we could understand certain things about that particular job role, because we're preparing a training for. If we're going to be training for that particular role, we need to understand that role so we can, because and in the instance before training is conducted, there are processes. In order to develop a training, it means we are going to get certain information, because before training is conducted, then if it's the performance issue training, it means we have to first of all go and conduct investigation, find out why they're not performing very well, what is the problem, and the rest of that. So in doing it, we gather information about a particular job. So that is in the process of training. It helps us to do that. So training is one of the sources of getting information about a particular job. Then we'll talk about interviews, one-on-one interviews, interviewing with each people that's each person in that department. So I'll discuss with each of them, the supervisors, the floor level, whoever it is, all the chain of command, discuss with each of them. So by interviewing with them, we get to understand, okay, these are the details of that. These are the details about this particular job function. Remember how why is interview are also important here is perspective matters, and by the time you finish discussing with the different members of the team, you find out that what A misses, B would remember. What B misses, C would remember. What C misses out in the information sharing process, D would not miss it. So by the time you go around, you see, you get a holistic view of what that job entails. Okay, that is that. Let's move on to talk about the next one, observation. Observation is you being physically there or to while the job is being conducted. Of course, let's take for instance, we're talking about bakery here, and we want to now bring in machines. We want to go and understand, okay, these are the processes. So once these are the processes that we use, so we will have to be there to observe. Okay, the kind of person that we're bringing in, these are the things that are going to be doing. Okay, from this stage to this stage. So we understand the kind of person that we want, and know that, because in understanding the job function, we know that okay, when we're interviewing with them, they have knowledge of these things. Else, they just say a lot of things with a lot of grammar and the rest of that, and you, the HR person, just say, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, only to hire such a person, and they come in and damage the machine because they do not know what to do, or they have not operated with it before. Okay, questionnaires. Questionnaire is a very important one. Of course, we create a list of questions, share them to that particular the concerned department, and every single person there takes and fill them out and helps us to gather information. It could be an online, that's when we're talking about questionnaire, it might be a survey. So it could be an online survey we administer it. Of course, online it helps for analysis properly. Where if you use there are a lot of information gathering software, so such that you prepare your questionnaire. And so once these answers are submitted, it's easy for you to just you plot the graph, and it's easy for you to share the information with the management. Um, or the hierarchy of the HR department. Okay, we'll go ahead to talk about performance appraisal. So these are some of the places where information about a particular job is gotten. Performance appraisal, when there's an issue with performance, you want to understand why is this person not performing on the job, why are the employees doing so bad on the job. In doing it, in conducting an appraisal, we understand, okay, this is what is required. This person that is not doing so well, why are they not making so well? Is it their work too? Is it the resources that they require? What exactly is the problem? Are they having issues at home? So if we understand that, we know, okay, that okay, we can isolate the problems. So this is okay, we can isolate. Okay, say the problem here is not family, it's not about the person, it's not about their skill. Then it's not. Is it about the work too? Is it about the process? So by the time we isolate all the process, we can understand where their problem is coming from. But in the process of understanding all these issues, we get to know more about the job role. So it's a way of also identifying or getting information about the job function. Then next on the list is job reports and record. For everyone who functions on a particular role, they have reports. So you send your report, daily report, weekly report. There's an archive that is being that's where these reports are being archived. Of course, most people are going digital now. So where you have archives for all this, so they prepare their reports and they submit it. Upon submitting those not submitting the information as a HR person, you can go to the archives, look at look out for the records that have been entered. You get to understand, okay, the job, the uniqueness of that particular job role. It helps you to understand that. Then let's go on to talk about the last one, which is the previous job descriptions. So now, previous job descriptions are very much important because why? When you look at whoever has been there on that role before, it is not a new one. You need to know, okay, this is what they have done before. And so it means if a new person is coming, are they just still doing the same thing? Or have technology even improved? Or have the demand increased? So what else do we expect from the person? So this helps us to understand kind of person. So the previous job description helps us to understand what the new person that we're bringing in will do. Is it the same thing, or are we adding to their job description? That's exactly what to do here. I think that's this brings us to the end of the second module. So I know very much that I'm very fast with this, but the intention is, of course, we have exhausted a lot of time already, and we want to be as fast as possible and to meet to cover the training. So last on this is job description. Job description. What exactly is job description? Now, job description is a written outline of essential responsibilities and specification for a vacant position. So now, take for instance, if we're saying we want a customer service person, yes, in our mind, customer service person just say hello, greet customers, do this, do that. That's what you just but they're specific, like I said earlier before, that there's going to be specific for the role. So the normal job functions are there. Yes, you're going to be doing this every day. Every day the customer service person comes in. This is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. But they are now specifics. So under that specifics is the specifics are the requirements that we need for the role. So that's why we're going to be saying, okay, do we need a graduate for this? Do we need that? Okay, so I think we're going to get that. Let me not preempt it already. So let's go ahead to talk about the more details. So now, job description. So under job description, we need to know how do we identify this job role. Remember what we said earlier that what job description is the written outline of all the essential, all the information. In a nutshell, the job description is the information about that particular position, about that vacant position. So now, where does it start? Starting from what? The job identification, then the job identification, the responsibilities, and the specification as well. Then summary and the job summary. Now, let's go ahead to talk about job identification. Under the job identification category, that is this, which is a sub of the job description. Now, job identification identifies the job. It identifies the job through the job title, through the department that owns that particular job title or that position. Then the supervisor who is to supervise that particular job. Of course, when you go to job boards, you don't see all this other information. There are some that are withheld, whilst the remaining are outside. But when the candidate is finally employed, all the other information are released to them. Okay, so now the job title, the department, the supervisor's title, the job summary, all this, and the date the job description was created or last revised will definitely be part of the job identification. This will help anyone who wishes to understand the job, or who wishes to identify where this job belongs to. It will help them to identify it properly. So such that if I see this role, let's say it's in a large corporation. So now it means, let's say there are over 2,000 staff. If I see this particular job function, which particular department is even hiring? That's one of the major things that I'm going to ask, anyone is going to be asking. So by seeing the details about the job identification, I know the people who are hiring already. Let's say, because if we have over 50 departments, or over 50 departments, how do I even trace the job? Where do I trace the job to? So job identification helps us to identify that, okay, this job belongs to this department. Who is supervising this particular department? I know the supervisor. Then the title that they are holding. Then the summary about that particular job. So you get to see. Oftentimes, what you see in the public is the job title, the job summary, the job title and the job summary. These are the things that are oftentimes in the public or in the job board. But the other information are all often shared when the employee is hired. Then let's go on to talk about the next one. I think yeah, I did the justice to that. Now we'll talk about the job responsibilities. These job responsibilities, remember, we just finished job identification. We're talking about the responsibilities now. Job responsibility, what this particular employee that will want will come and what are their functions? What are they expected to do while on that role? These are the things that they are going to be doing. Every day they resume. This is what they do. So this is what they are accountable for. That is what job responsibility means. It means if we hire Alex for this particular role, we can hold Alex responsible for all this job function listed here. And should anything go wrong, we can hold Alex responsible for that. So, and these are the things that we use to say, okay, from these responsibilities, we can craft out the key performance indicators as I can determine if Alex is successful on the role or is not successful on the role. Of course, the key performance indicators come from the responsibilities. I think that is very clear now. Okay, then let's move on to the next one, which talks about job specification. So now we've considered the identification of the job, identifying where that job belongs. We've talked about the responsibilities, which helps us understand what the person is coming there to do and how we can hold them responsible and accountable. Then we're talking about the specification. What exactly do we need? What kind of person do we need? Who can fit in this role? What do they need to succeed? These are the things that the job specification talks about here. So it talks about the required knowledge. So now we're going to be saying, okay, the required knowledge. So somebody who has X, Y, Z knowledge in this, knowledge in that, so number of experience and the rest of that. So that's why if you check the requirements of a job, you're going to be seeing, let's say, a minimum of 5 years experience and able to computer that is who can operate computer, who can do certain analysis, who can do this, who can do that, who can X, Y, Z. So that is where the knowledge required comes in. Then we talk about the skills. Someone who is skillful, that let's say different kind of skills that we want for that particular role. Someone who can do this, who can troubleshoot, who can do that, do that, do that. That's certainly where the skills come in. They'll talk about the education. We'll say, okay, is it a minimum of BSc, a minimum of HND, OND, or whatever it is, or MSc, MBA, whichever it is. So we talk about the academic qualification here. So it is very clear. So we say, okay, minimum of HND, BSc from a reputable university. Or we can talk about the MSc or BSc there, depending on the role that we want the person to do. Then there are some of the things that it might not even be a BSc or HND. We want a technical person, someone who has a technical knowledge, right? We just say someone who has, let's say, a minimum of, say, we want someone with 10 years experience and a trade test certification, which is a must. So in that situation, we don't necessarily consider a BSc. We're not considering an OND. We're not considering a HND. We are considering the trade test because this time around we want to go technical. We want someone who has that knowledge and experience. So that's where that one can come in. Then let's go on to talk about the next one that says certifications. Certifications are very important. So now this person has this certification for this particular role. So you have this skill, you have this knowledge, you have this. So what certificate do you have? Those certificates can be as a knowledge certification, training certification, or it could even be membership certifications as well. So that's that. The certifications are required. There's some job will take, for instance, let's say if a person is going for an accounting role and they're saying, okay, we want an ACCA certified professional to handle the accounting function. So in that case, so we need that certification, or you can say that whoever it is that have an ACA certification will have an added advantage or an advantage over other people. So that's what. So these way certifications come in. They play key roles. So it's important. Of course, certifications come from. They might come from training. They might come from membership. They might come from education as well. Like I already said earlier. So then we talk about minimum qualification. Minimum qualification. I already stated that clearly earlier when I was talking about it's going to be a minimum of HND, a minimum of BSc, OND, trade test, OM, SSC, and the rest of that. So that's that. So we know the minimum qualification that we need for that role. Very, very much important. Then persona and attributes. We're talking about persona here. Remember, I was saying something earlier. I'm going to be hiring for a personal assistant. What kind of person do I want as a personal assistant? I want someone who can be able to represent me when I'm unable to go, when I have multiple meetings to attend. So I want someone who can be able to do that excellently well, right? So that's when I can say I have a personal assistant. For another person, they can say, okay, they have a personal assistant, X, Y, Z, and just that. That's what my personal assistants do, represent me in meetings. Of course, if I have, let's say I have multiple meetings to meet up with, I'm not going to throw that away because I know it's going to bring value to the organization. So I definitely will need to go and hire a personal assistant who can get those meetings, secure the deal, and win. So I want a personal assistant who has good negotiation skills, someone who can present themselves excellently well, who can do presentations, someone who can create the slides in very short time. Take for instance, if I prepare my own presentations in 5 hours or in 3 hours, and you prepare your own presentations in 10 hours, it means that you're draining back. But if you can prepare your own presentation in 3 hours, when I prepare my own presentation in 5 hours, it means, oh, these are the kind of person I want. You're bringing me speed. Exactly. That's the kind of person I would want. I'm just giving a reference to that. So it is very clear. So persona comes in dress sense, but the communication skills and all those attributes, the ability to manage relationships, you're cool-headed and just so that's kind of I may say, well, this is the kind of person I want for that particular role. So the same thing it is another person says a kind of person they want for their role. And then there's some kind of leadership role. There are different kind of person that is needed for that leadership role. Someone who can lead effectively well, who can command respect, who has the right demeanor for that role. That's the kind of person that they want. So the organization, this is the persona they want for that role, and it has to be so. So take for instance, if the function is being outsourced, what that organization, what that client organization requires is exactly what they're going to be delivering to them as the recruiter or HR recruiter and on the team. I think that is very clear. If it's not clear, just put your question down and take that. We're almost ending this particular session. Okay, we'll talk about job description. The basic content. What exactly is job description? What does it contain? Now, the job description in itself contains job identification and summary. We've already said that earlier. We established that. We'll talk about the essentials and non-essential functions of that role. So that's, I think, if in a nutshell, that is what is called responsibilities. The essential functions, what this person is going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. Then some of the functions might not be day-to-day. It might be once in a week, once in 2 weeks, once in 3 weeks, of course. So these are essential and non-essential functions. They'll be listed there. Then talk about the job qualification and skills. Of course, that's just the one that we just talked about last. Then we'll talk about the physical demands and the work environment. Now, take for instance, if we want a factory, like let's say it's a factory, and we want a machine operator, or a machine operator, or we want a packer. We're not just going to bring someone. We definitely want someone who can be able to withstand stress. So if we're in hiring for that role, we know the environment. We want someone who has that capacity from their physique. We can see that this person has the capacity to withstand stress, not just someone who just like and cannot withstand stress. Then we're talking about healthy as well. Remember the stress and the health, they work together. Of course, they're working in an environment where they're stressed, they're adequately compensated, but that's the job demands a lot of stress. So we want someone who understands the job role, and not just that they understand it, but they are well built for that role that they are taking on. Then we'll talk about the work environment as well. Someone who can be able to function there. Take for instance, for working in a place where they let's take for instance uh, certain outdoors, maybe working with chemicals and the rest of it. Of course, they wear protective gears, but there are certain smells that can provoke people or that can provoke their health, that can provoke the health of people. So, okay, can this person work in this environment? Yes, the smell is not harmful, of course, because that's what the oxygen is regulated by government. So, the smell is not harmful, but that smell is not conducive for that particular person. So because there are some people when they perceive a certain smell, they either throw up or they become they feel nausea or they in fact they might feel irritated and the rest of that. So is it going to be okay? So these are the things that is being put into consideration. The work environment, um, is it a place where it's rigorous, where a lot of activities is needed? So someone who is not fit to engage in rigorous activities will not even be brought in the first instance. That is that. Then we'll talk about scope and changes. Scope and changes, very much important. Scope and changes. So the job description help us to understand the scope of the job. So somebody cannot say I'm doing this where they are not supposed to do that or where they are. So if you are hired for this role, you know that this is where don't know the limits of your role and stay within the limits of your role. That's why you have job description. They stay there. Of course, in most job offer or most offer letters, you have this thing that is being attached there. They say this and other job function and other responsibilities as assigned to you by your supervisor. I know that these things can be there, but it's very much important because when offer letters are given, the scope of the job is given. Even as a recruiter, you're going to get your own scope of work. So you're not doing something. Of course, you can imagine if, as a recruiter, you're given a job function to go and handle that includes performance management when you don't even have experience in that, you're not training that, the rest of that. So that's going to be unfair. Of course, you might be brought in intermittently to assist. So in assisting, you're learning. That's more like a hands-on training already, hands-on development already for you. But that's the different one from assigning the job function to someone who practically does not have knowledge about that. Definitely, that's going to be a setup for. Okay, now still under the basic content of job description, equal opportunity employer statements are often written there. There are some job functions where you see all this information. If you pay attention to the jobs you see on job board, there's some of them that have all this information. That's when the HR take a lot of pain to go through all this. Just the basic things that are legal, just put the information out there, and that is that. Remember that too much information as well can bring a lot of scrutiny for them to the organization. So I keep sensitive information away from the public, and just the information that they require to apply for the job. Just that's all that they require. So as a recruiter, I think that is enough information there for you. Okay, so go ahead to talk about the salary range. Of course, when you see a job description, you're going to see the salary range attached to it. They will talk about the application closing date. If you have an opening that does not have a closing date, of course, you people it might be urgent and people might procrastinate application. So okay, I'm going to apply later in the evening. But only if they knew that the closing for that is the same day and it's by 4 p.m. and the applications are coming in 4 p.m. Of course, because it has been stated clearly that it's 4 p.m. and the closing date is on the 22nd. So if it exceeds 4 p.m., whoever applies 4 p.m would definitely be considered secondary if the people who applied prior to that time, meaning if until everyone who have applied prior to that time is considered before any other applications after 4 p.m. will be considered. That is what it means. That is what it means. Application closing date is very much important, and you have to apply. You have to also adhere to that as a recruiter. Then we'll go ahead to talk about how to apply. So how do you apply? So how do the applicants, people who are interested in that job role and who are qualified? So it's not just only be about being interested in the job role. Do you qualify? So that's why you see some job function that they tell you interested and qualified candidates to send their CV and their application. to XYZ or to follow link to apply? Are they going to be applying through a link, or are they going to be applying by sending their emails? Are they going to be applying in person? Are they going to be applying by calling a phone number? So it all depends on what convenient way does the recruiter wants to handle the recruitment process. So they send in their sending the how to apply, because then this how to apply also helps to regulate. That's why sometimes you have some statements right below how to apply or right above how to apply. This is to help so that most people, because most people, what you have is they are qualified, they are not qualified, they just send it their application, and this consumes a lot of time for the recruiter. It practically eats into the time, the recruitment time. So you see some statements like application that does not applicants who do not meet the requirements should not even bother applying. Most people write it there as a note, should not even bother applying. Then there are some who will say, okay, as part of the criteria, applicants who do not live within XYZ locations should not even bother applying. Applicants with these statements can be created now to help you downsize ahead, such that people who do not fall in this category should not even. Let's take for instance, if it is for gender balance, maybe a female is required or a male is required for that particular role. It can be clearly stated there, so that for gender balance, so that you don't have applications from males or you don't have applications from females. That is one. Then let's take for instance the application is in Lagos and the position is in Ireland. So it means every application that we're going to be considering are going to be people who are on island. We're going to talk about that in tomorrow's training. So, but this time around, it is very much important that it is stated on that, so that you don't spend so much time going through CVs, people who are in Zamfara sending their applications to positions open in Lagos, or someone who is at Badagry sending for that is Badagry in Lagos and sending their application for position that is on the island, or someone who stays at Mowe that is Mowe in Ogun State, looking for that is sending the application for a position in Lekki. How are they going to be meeting up daily? These are the things, these are the considerations. So it's important it is clearly stated there. Then that's why you even have the requirement and the specification, and they put all these things there. But there are some special notes that are there. So people who with this, then we talk about there are some job functions that require portfolio. Take for instance, if you do not have a portfolio, don't even bother applying. If you're going to be applying, you're going to be applying with your portfolio. So some people will still, I understand the fact that people will still go ahead and apply regardless of that. They will still send the application even if they don't meet it. But at the end of the day, those who do not intend to waste their own time and your own time will definitely stay away from applying. So, but those who want to go and try, you just go when you meet with such application, you just delete them. That's all. I think that is that. So how to apply practically helps out to ensure that whoever is applying is not just only about the designation of where they send their applications, but the right people also apply. Remember, there is the job requirements does justice to that, but more to it is also still at how to apply. I think that enough for all that we have said thus far. Okay, I think that brings us to the end of this particular session of the training, where we'll meet tomorrow to go ahead and talk about that screening process and how do we proceed into it afterwards. So I think I will take the questions now going. So please go ahead and bring in your questions. Let me just quickly take them and we can close the class for today. We spent almost all the time. We're supposed to have ended the class in less than, I think before 11:30, but see today we're almost at 1 p.m. I have a lot of work. So please go ahead. Bring in your questions. Let me take them. If in the next 60 seconds we don't have questions that we're dealing with, we'll have to end the class. Your questions, keep them coming. So we'll have 60 seconds to send in questions. So questions that come in within 60 seconds, we'll take them. And even in case maybe you don't get the questions now, if they don't pop in your mind, it's okay. Just bring in the questions tomorrow. In tomorrow's class, we take them together with this. All right. Okay. I think that will be all for now. Any further question that is dropped will be taken tomorrow. We'll talk about that tomorrow. Okay. Okay, someone is saying what are the most effective ways or methods for conducting a job analysis in a large organization? These are the things that we just talked about. We listed the different ways of conducting job analysis. Said there are some of them is through training. So from that list, of the things of the sources of that job analysis of conducting it, you just find that the most suitable one is not everything that you will do. Most suitable one is it going to be interviewing? You're going to be, yeah, it's based on departments. You're not doing it for all the departments in the organization or for all the positions in that organization. Remember, you're hiring. Take for instance, you're hiring for just one role, or you're hiring for 12 roles. If they even if those 12 roles are in different departments, you are going to pick a suitable way. Is it by interviewing or by observation or by whichever or by questionnaire, whichever one you want to use, that the method that will help you understand it well. Remember that sometimes the job, when it comes to large organizations like this, the job is usually easier because the HR or the head of HR will definitely, the head of the department, sorry, not the head of HR, the head of the department of that particular department would help in preparing that job description, that job analysis ahead for you. So it's much more easier when you, even with larger organizations. I think that sorts that out. But I've already given you the details. You have a list of, so it's just for you to select the one that is suitable for you. Should the head of that department, if that head of department is not doing it, is not giving you the job analysis, then it means you're going to do it by yourself. I've already given a list. So just follow the list, choose the one that is most suitable in that particular scenario. Because I cannot tell you that this one is, I cannot say that interviewing is more suitable when it's the situation is not. When because it might be assigned to you. Let's say you're assigned to a particular position, and this particular one that is assigned to you, these conditions are different. So your discretion is what will matter most there. Okay, let's go ahead to talk about the next one. It says if the job is in Lagos and the candidate is in Port Harcourt and is also ready to relocate, um, is it advisable to still apply through the recruiter, though the recruiter may not be aware of the candidate's thoughts? There are cases where candidates are hired and they are asked to relocate. Oftentimes, this may be done on rare competence. Rare competence. Take, for instance, if a search has been done for that particular position in Lagos and we're not getting someone, but we have somebody in Port Harcourt who is willing to relocate, who is excellent on the who matches exactly what we want. The option can say, yes, go ahead. And they give the person time, maybe even to resign from where they are and to move over and come to Lagos, as long as they can be able to meet up, as long as they are willing to do the relocation. That is that. So I think that sorts that out. Okay, then we'll go on to talk about. Please, can this session be uploaded and the link shared to us? I don't understand. That is from Festus Udoma. It says, can this session be uploaded and the link shared? We're already having a live class. Just what you need to do is to just, if you missed it, just when we are done, replay it, start afresh and replay it. We had we have network issues earlier, so but this time around we started afresh again and we completed it. So this for this session of the training. Then for the training material, just look at the look at the description of the training below. Under the description of this training, look below, you see a link. So you can download and take so you can follow the slide as I presented earlier. Then I think that is that. If you have any questions, there's a session for tomorrow. You join tomorrow's class and we can also pick it from there. You can ask your questions and we'll do that. I think that answers your question. So because if you're talking about uploading, that's going to be like a recorded session. We wanted it to be live so we can answer questions. If we do a recorded session, we might not go back to answer questions, and that might just be left out there. Okay, then talk about most developed organization makes use of ATS to pick out the major skills they need, and that makes it very easy to drop lots of people. Of course, yes, I understand. That's James Awaji. I understand your point in this particular situation where ATS application tracking systems are used, but it's more important before you go into automation. You need to understand the process that led to the automation. That's very much important. That's what we're doing here. So you understand the process that led to automation. Like we were saying earlier, that as a HR person, if you don't understand how these job functions are done, that is the manual method or what it means, what the job functions entail, it's even difficult for you to advise when the organization wants to automate a particular process or wants to automate a particular job function. Because you don't know what the job entails, you can't give a feedback. You see why we are talking about understanding how this thing works. Because before we are bringing in automation. Why? When will you even know that this automation is the automation is not functioning properly well? When you don't even know how this thing needs to be done. Oftentimes, remember, automation is a program written by people. It's not going to function 100% well. It's not going to deliver it's not going to deliver 100% all the time. So this is where your discretion comes in, and you can fix that. So I think that's that. Okay. Okay. So how do I streamline candidates faster? Okay. Okay, faster. Are there software? I think we're going to be talking about that tomorrow. So in today's class, we want to work according to the confines of our trainings. So please, Michael, that's Ajile. Please, we have the trainings broken down, the recruiter training broken down in 3 phases. So I think your question is going to be answered tomorrow. Yes, there are softwares that can be used, but everything that we are doing, we focus on the foundation. We're not talking about the softwares at now. Yes, softwares are easy for it, but if you don't have the root knowledge about how these things work, you can't be able to function effectively well. So tomorrow, what we're going to be discussing will be detailed about how you can be able to screen these applications when they come in, right? So not just about using ATS and as well as other softwares that you have to screen candidates or streamline candidates faster. Yes, it's good to work faster, but you also need to understand the basic process and the fundamentals of how it actually works. Okay, I think that is that. That is that. Okay, there's no more questions. That was the last question. Okay, says okay. From we have another one from Chinemere. It is here. It says I'm in a situation um where a job description stated that the age limit required for the job role is 26, but the experience the that is needed is 26. I don't know. I think there are a lot of issues with what you're spelling here. It says 28, 26 years doesn't have it, and it happens to be that of the 28 years old has the experience. Well, if I'm going to make out something from what you just said, I believe what you are saying is um, the benchmark, the age benchmark by the organization is 26 years. But people who have someone who has experience, the required experience, or who fits in is 28 years. I would rather say it's okay if you think you want to try and send in your application, even though you are just 2 years above the benchmark. But if an organization is placing a benchmark, there's a reason why they placed that benchmark. Some people would rather prefer to hire, um, hire and train. They would rather prefer to hire that 26 years and train that person. There's a reason for that organization. There's a reason why they choose to have that benchmark as 26. But for some organization, you might be lucky enough for them to reconsider and say, okay, if we don't find 26, 2 years difference might not be so much. We might just decide to go with the 28-year-old person for that role. So it is very clear. You might just want to try your luck, but it is imperative to note that if it is 26, there's a reason for everything, for every criteria. We just finished a training now. For every criteria that or specification of a job, there's a reason why it is there. So it is very, very clear. Sometimes maybe there is a program that in the next 5 years or in the next 10 years, you're expected to reach a certain position. So if it is going to take you 10 years to become, or it is going to take you 6 years to become a manager, or 8 years to become a manager in that role, or 10 years to become a manager in that role. And there's a rule that certain age, there are certain benefits might not have such certain age range might not have such opportunities to function there. You don't know. I'm just trying to give you that there might be certain hidden information that might not be to the public, where this age range is 26 years favors whoever it is that is bringing. So they prefer that a person starts at 26 and begin to progress quickly, so that by the time they are getting, by the time they are getting at 36, they expect them to become this, become that in the organization. Then maybe at if you are 38, you might be having people who are much more younger. For some option, they prefer that energy from the young people to do what they are doing. Maybe at that particular time, that's what they are saying. So you don't feel After putting on my best and the rest of that, they're looking for a younger person to come and hear their vision. So those kind of stories that touch, they don't want it in the person's hands. That's why they are putting their benchmark. They've mapped out how they want the career growth, the progression. They mapped it out already. They want someone who come and create a bad impression, a bad image about the organization. Like saying, I've worked so, I've done this, I've done that, and they are going outside to go and hire for a manager. Why? Something like that. So it might be. I'm just giving you an example. It might. So a reason. So now let's go ahead to talk about the next one. It says, will there be certification at the end of the training? I think that's for the management side. Definitely, there's of course. I think there's yes, there's going to be a certification for the training. Yes, there is. Okay, so now let's go ahead to talk about the next one. It says, okay, how do we solve the issue on bureaucracy in HR with fasten the process of recruitment to choose the best talent for an organization? Well, I wouldn't say what I know is for choice talent. I think our processes are very clear. I wouldn't say for other organizations should you find yourself there because bureaucracies are different, processes are different. If it is a process, you must follow it. If you need certain approval, please do not jump that approval. If you need certain information, you must just follow through. Keep pushing until you get that information. Don't jump overboard. Don't try to go faster when you need certain approvals to work. A practical example is you going on to conduct recruitment when you have not even received the approvals to conduct that. That's going to be very, very, it's going to come with serious consequences. Very much important. And at the end of the day, you end up wasting your time and wasting the time of the people that you interview because if it's not approved, the management will just cancel that particular shortlist they are bringing in, and it's going to seem as though you are becoming that's going to look at insubordination from your own part. There has to be an endorsement. If the people who are to approve of it do not sign off, please do not proceed. That is it. But of course, insurance clients will have a process. It is very, very clear and streamlined. Then, okay, instances of if okay, I think we're having a network issue. Yeah, okay. Okay, I gave instances of if the organization wants to reconsider, they can choose to use that particular, they can choose to go ahead and consider that person. Very imperative that that they they follow it to the latter. They follow it to the latter. So if they say it's 27 years, they follow that 27 years. They'll give priority to people within that 27 and people above that 27. They might decide to say, okay, are they energetic enough? It all depends on the organization. I cannot say for another organization. I can only say for the exchange that I work with, which is transparent. So if I've already given you, I don't want to press so much on that. So it's at the end of the day, as though maybe we are not paying close attention to what we're saying. Okay, I think that is that. Um, okay, I say okay, I should buttress a little on body language. Okay, now with regards to, I think that we'll get more information on that with regards to interviewing when tomorrow's training. Now, body language is very much important. When you're interviewing with, when you, as a recruiter, when you interview with candidates or you interview with people, it's very important to pay attention to what is said versus what. Take for instance, if I want to hire, like I said, if I want to hire for a personal assistant and I need someone who is going to be interfacing with high level executives, I will pay close attention to body language. I will pay very, very rapt attention to body language against all others, even in line with other specifics that I have outlined there. Because why? These are highly intelligent people that this person is going to be dealing with. So I want this person to know, okay, that if you are saying this, you're not saying this and you are practically saying the exact opposite. So it's important. We cannot be saying that we are very good at this, or you're an expert. Like let's take for instance, you say a very good person um, when it comes to communication and the rest of that. So I expect you that when you're having that communication, all the rules of communication is properly observed. You observe the rules of communication. So if you are very great at communication, I should see that. You shouldn't be saying one thing and doing the exact opposite. Remember, we're talking about body languages. What we mean there is non-verbal cues. That was saying non-verbal cues. Non-verbal cues are Those times when people say, that's not what I mean. That's what you are saying, but you're saying that's not what I mean. So we want you to mean what you say and say what you mean. So even if you are saying them orally or non-verbally, you're saying them verbally or non-verbally, we want you to say what you mean and mean what you say. That is what that body language is just practically saying. That is just practically portraying. So I think that is very clear. So I think with that, um, that will be much for today. Tomorrow we'll continue. So can whatever other questions that you have, please just keep them for tomorrow and we'll go ahead. All right. Okay. I think that is that. Enjoy the rest of your day. Everyone here. You have a wonderful time. Till we see tomorrow.